General Raul, I want to thank you not only for the work that you've been doing here in Illinois, but for being a leader amongst attorneys general. The meeting that we had when you came to DC with other attorneys general on this issue meant a lot in terms of how we know we want to coordinate around the law and what we can do in terms of defending constitutional freedoms. So to everyone, thank you for being here. So we are here because, as we all know, with the Dobbs decision, the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, took a constitutional right from the people of America, from the women of America. And we are, in the wake of that decision, facing a healthcare crisis in America that requires us all to speak up and do everything we can to ensure that we will fight to protect a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. This issue raises many fundamental principles about who we are as a country, including the principle of freedom and liberty, self-determination, and bodily autonomy. We must agree that the women of America have the ability to exercise their own judgment in making decisions about their own body, and the government should not be making that decision for her. And it bears noting, one does not have to give up their faith or religious beliefs to agree that the government should not be making that decision for her. So we convene today to talk about we in each of our respective positions of leadership, what we can do individually and collectively to address this issue and, frankly, this injustice. We do so understanding that the work that happens on this issue will require the kind of leadership our president has provided in terms of the executive orders that he has signed, recognizing constitutional rights to travel and access to health care. But also it is through the leadership of governors like Governor Pritzker that we look to for what states like Illinois have been and continue to do to not only provide for the women of this state, but as the governor has said, and he and I have talked about this, under his leadership to be a safe haven for women around the state, in neighboring and surrounding states. In fact, I look at what's happening in Illinois, Governor, and you all are, without any question, being stretched thin in terms of your healthcare resources going directly to your constituents, but to neighboring states as well. In fact, when I look at a map of the country and the neighborhood in which you exist, there's no question to me that you are helping women from states like Indiana and Kentucky and Missouri and Tennessee and Wisconsin, in addition to the women of Illinois. So I thank you for that. But I also recognize that when we are seeing, as we have been, women from neighboring states going to those states that are protecting the constitutional right of women, that it makes a statement also about the fact that the women of those states that are banning access to reproductive health care need that health care, want that health care, and in spite of that, are being denied access to that health care in their own states. So we will continue to work together, all of us, and we do recognize this is just the beginning, both in terms of the movement that we are in to fight for reproductive health care for all people, but also recognizing that, frankly, Justice Clarence Thomas said the quiet part out loud, which is with the Dobbs decision, we are also looking at a very high likelihood of a risk to the right to contraception, same-sex marriage. So to that end, we know that this is also an opportunity to build coalition around all people who are directly affected or who care about those who are affected when it comes to these attacks. And again, I thank all of the leaders who are here. And my final point will be, elections matter. Elections matter. We have a midterm coming up in 53 days. Who is your governor matters. Whether they're going to protect these rights and support these rights to freedom and liberty, it matters. Who's your attorney general matters. Whether they are going to protect and defend the principles ingrained in the Constitution of the United States, that matters. Who your local prosecutor is matters. If you are in a place that has, as many are attempting to do, criminalized healthcare providers and are attempting to punish women. So I encourage everyone to exercise your right to express your voice on this issue through your vote in 53 days. And with that, I thank everyone, and Governor, I will now pass the mic over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President, and welcome to everyone. Good afternoon, and I'm deeply honored, really, that we're able to host this conversation in Illinois, the land of Lincoln, the home state of Barack Obama, the first state to ratify women's suffrage, where we carry a long tradition of expanding and protecting people's rights. In Illinois, the right to choose is not political. It's a matter of settled law here. Here in Illinois, abortion is a fundamental right. After all, abortion is health care. And here in Illinois, we trust women to make their own decisions about their own bodies. And a lot of work has gone into making Illinois a place where reproductive rights are guaranteed. Advocates led the way here in 2019 when we enshrined into our law the Reproductive Health Care Act. But we are surrounded by states, as the Vice President said, who do not value the rights that we have here in Illinois. Indiana recently decided that women are not to be trusted to make decisions about their own health care. It's despicable, it's misogynistic, and it's deadly. There's no doubt that our nation is headed down a dangerous spiral, one where a radical few dictate who does and doesn't deserve rights. But here in Illinois, we will not go backwards. Today, I'm honored to be surrounded by warriors, by providers, by educators, doctors, and leaders who are fighting for abortion access on a local, state, and national level. I look forward to hearing all of the ideas in the room today, and whether it's making sure that Illinois is educating the next generation of doctors to perform abortions or expanding clinics throughout the University of Illinois system to improve access throughout our state, especially as we serve those from other states. So now it's my great honor to turn the podium mic over to a great champion for choice, the leader of our great city, Mayor Lorie Lightfoot.
Well, thank you, Governor, and Madam Vice President, always a pleasure to welcome you to our city, and we admire your leadership, and really I think you are uniquely positioned to be championing this issue at the federal level, and I appreciate everything you've done. Let me amplify a couple of points that the Governor made. In this room, across this table, these are champions. These are people that these leaders have been on the front lines, in many instances for decades, fighting for reproductive choice for women and for others who are seeking simply health care. And we work hand in glove with them. My role as mayor is to make sure that we listen, and importantly, to make sure that they have the resources they need to be able to continue this vital work that really is more important than ever. Soon after we saw the leaked Dobbs decision, I issued an order directing 500,000 additional resources so that the folks who are on the front lines could provide additional services, could make sure that they're reaching the needs of the people that are calling on the hotlines that are afraid. And that are traveling to our state. I'm proud to say, and I've shared with some of folks in the room, that I will be introducing a budget to our city council here in the next few weeks, where we will substantially expand our financial commitment to make sure that every single one of these providers has the resources that they need. I do not want a woman or anybody else who's seeking reproductive care in the city of Chicago not to be able to come here, not to be able to recover, not to be able to travel because the resources aren't there. So that commitment is absolute, and we will be putting our money, more money, where our mouth is. I also want to address another issue that I know is of great concern to many, which is the states that are seeking to criminalize the people who are seeking reproductive services in other states, or the providers who provide those services. Frankly, it reminds me of the fugitive slave laws, people seeking freedom in another state. Well, not here, not now, not in Chicago. So I issued an executive order earlier this summer that barred any city agency, and notably our police department, from cooperating in any way with any of these states that are seeking that kind of information to try to criminalize women or providers. We know how to do that because we've done that in a context of not cooperating with ICE regarding immigration issues, and we stand firm in that, and we will be codifying that as part of our municipal code, hopefully with the passage of an ordinance in this next city council. So I believe in concrete, tangible actions, and that's what we've done. We put our money where our mouth is, we're listening and supporting our providers, and we're making sure that we're closing off all avenues for other states to try to demonize or criminalize women or the courageous healthcare providers who are making sure that abortion remains free and legal here, and safe and legal here in the city of Chicago. I'm now happy to turn it to Director Melanie Fontes Rainier, and I can't wait for you to hear from these leaders that are gathered around the table. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mayor and Madam Vice President and Governor. We at the Department of Health and Human Services have taken the call to action from Vice President Harris and President Biden to do all that we can to help women across the country, to help doctors across the country. Just a few of the things we've done: we put out guidance to 60,000 chain pharmacies across the country to help make sure patients understand their rights under federal civil rights law when accessing drugs at pharmacies. We also strengthened a non-discrimination rule to make very clear that pregnancy-related care is part of a civil rights infrastructure at the federal government. And last, we've taken important steps to ensure that patients and providers understand the right to emergency medical treatment and life-saving care. And so we're really privileged to be a part of this conversation. You can all help us by sending people to reproductiverights.gov, where they can get information on their rights, file complaints, and we really look forward to the conversation today with the advocates, providers, and leaders. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Megan Jaifo of the Chicago Abortion Fund.
And after that, we'll hear from Congressman Davis, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this opportunity and for convening this group of abortion care providers, students, advocates for reproductive freedom, and abortion funders. My name is Megan Jaifo. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a mama who's had abortions, and I have the privilege of being the executive director of the Chicago Abortion Fund. The Chicago Abortion Fund provides financial, logistical, and emotional support for people accessing abortion care here in Illinois, across the Midwest, and beyond, no matter who they are, where they live, or how much money they make. We're part of a robust national network of abortion funds who have long been doing the work of making abortion access a reality in this country. Today is exactly 12 weeks post-ops. This year, we have received calls from over 4,500 people seeking support. People from over 40 states and 2 countries have received our support in accessing abortion care right here in Illinois. The Chicago Abortion Fund has been able to offer funding and wraparound supports like plane tickets, hotels, meals, and childcare to every single person we reach on our helpline. We assist with navigating Medicaid and private insurance coverage. We help people find clinics that work for them. We ask our callers what they need, and together we figure out how to make it happen. This model affirms that the adversity callers face in accessing abortion is not a personal or moral failure, but a systemic injustice. It should not be this way. The Chicago Abortion Fund should not have to exist. Abortion is healthcare, and healthcare should be free of hurdles, including stigma and shame, and all financial, logistical, and legal barriers. All people should be trusted to know their lives and bodies and to get the healthcare they need when they need it on a timeline that works for them. Now, in a time when millions of people are facing heightened barriers to care in their own communities, we in abortion funds nationwide are here to leverage our expertise, both to stand beside our callers as they navigate a chaotic and rapidly changing landscape, and to bring what we and our callers are seeing on the ground to the forefront of the conversation. Abortion funds are uniquely provided and are uniquely positioned both to get our callers the care they need and also to highlight the barriers we are seeing on the ground as part of strategic legislative and advocacy efforts that are poised to change those conditions. Since Roe has fallen, our callers are facing longer journeys and the scale of our logistical support has increased dramatically. We know that Illinois has long been a regional access point due to less prohibitive costs and fewer restrictions, but in this new reality, as more bans and restrictions are implemented, we are a national access point. We as people in Illinois, in Chicago, the birthplace of the reproductive justice movement, have a responsibility to support our neighbors who can no longer access care in their own communities. We as people in this country have a responsibility to support all people facing barriers to basic health care, regardless of arbitrary state lines and imposed borders, and despite the efforts of anti-abortion lawmakers. I'm so thankful, and I know my colleagues at this table are thankful, that we have a unique opportunity today to bring what we are seeing as frontline workers to the Vice President and to the representatives and lawmakers from our city and state here today. We're here to talk. We're here to illustrate the reality of this moment and its impacts on low-income people, parents, families, people of color, women, trans and gender non-conforming people, people living in rural communities, and immigrants. Everyone loves someone who's had an abortion. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Representative Danny Davis.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Vice President. And I also want to thank you and President Biden for the tremendous leadership that you both displayed relative to this issue. I'm obviously pleased anytime I'm with our great governor and the outstanding mayor of the city of Chicago and this fine array of warriors, who all of us believe that health is an inherent right. And it's a right that no one, no government, no entity should ever be able to deny or take away from the individual who makes the decision along with she and her doctor, with her family, in terms of what their health will be. We've been protected, and I can assure you, and it's good that we're at this great academic institution, one of the best in the nation, the University of Illinois, at Chicago, that those of us in Illinois will continue to do everything in our power to make sure that every citizen of our nation has the right to privacy, has the right to make health decisions, and the right to make sure that our country is open and free. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm delighted to be with you.
Thank you, Congressman. Next, I think we have Allison speaking.
Yes, thank you for being here, and it is an honor to be here with you today, Madam Vice President. I am the Medical Director of Family Planning Associates, a health center on the west side of Chicago and one of the largest abortion care facilities in the country. On the day of the Dobbs decision, our phone lines blew up, and they haven't stopped ringing since. The number of second trimester abortions we perform has increased by 95%. Conditions for pregnant people have grown dangerous and uncertain. I could tell you a lot of stories, but I want to focus on just one. I met a college student who came to our clinic for an abortion. She was from Alabama. She had large brown eyes and a very frightened looking face. She was 8 weeks pregnant, and she had mistakenly gone to a fake clinic or a crisis pregnancy center where she heard lies and misinformation about abortion. She told me in the exam room that she was worried we would sedate her for the abortion procedure and then tie her tubes. She desperately wanted to finish her education and needed to end the pregnancy, but she also wanted to have children in the future. She was in Illinois, 800 miles from home, and she was terrified. The abortion bans throughout the South and Midwest have transformed a simple, 5-minute procedure in a doctor's office that is 14 times safer than delivering a baby, they have turned that into a public health emergency. Here in Illinois, we want to be part of the solution. As a doctor, as a physician, I'm so grateful to everyone at this table, to all of our coalition partners, the advocacy organizations that are represented, the abortion funds, and our elected officials from the federal level, the state level, and here in the city, who have fought to make Illinois a haven for abortion as healthcare. And you, Madam Vice President, whose presence here today sends a powerful message that, like healthcare, abortion is a basic human right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and speak with you today.
We're going to hear from Myra Bajwa.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, Mr. Governor, Madam Mayor, for being here today. Hello, my name is Myra Bajwa. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a third-year student at the University of Chicago and a member of Planned Parenthood's National Student Leadership Cohort, as well as a board member of Project Reproductive Freedom, which is a registered student organization on campus that seeks to preserve the reproductive freedoms of students, as well as those living in our communities on the south side of Chicago. At PRF, we work closely with Planned Parenthood of Illinois as a Generation Action Chapter, as well with the Chicago Abortion Fund. We fundraise for their national fundathon to preserve abortion access in Chicago. PRF adheres to the Sister Song definition of reproductive justice: the right to have a child, the right to not have a child, and the right to raise that child in a safe and sustainable community. That being said, we recognize that as students in Illinois, we have dual responsibilities. One to those in the communities in which we work, live, and study, and one to those who live in states hostile to abortion access, who must travel great distances to come to receive care in Chicago. We are currently planning with the University of Chicago Hospital's Ryan Center to support those who receive out-of-state care in Illinois and who have come all the way to Hyde Park to receive abortion access. We've also previously conducted a menstrual product drive for Chicago House, who supports those living with or vulnerable to HIV and AIDS. Our on-campus programming includes the Jane Hotline, which is named after the Jane Collective, which performed abortions here in Chicago prior to Roe v. Wade and included a couple of Chicago students. Our hotline allows students to ask questions pertaining to sexual and reproductive health anonymously, as well as learn about the resources available to them. As students, we are aware of the disproportionate effect that abortion access restrictions have on students and young people generally. Logistically, financially, emotionally, in all aspects, it is difficult for students and young people. Many of our planned projects hope to address this burden and to mobilize students around America to work for our rights as young people and students. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited to introduce my colleague Diana Parker-Kafka, Executive Director of the Midwest Access Coalition.
Thanks, Megan. I'm Diana Parker-Kafka. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm with Midwest Access Coalition, or MAC. We support people traveling to, from, or within the Midwest for abortion care. What's been on my mind post-Roe is how crucial it is to protect not only those of us doing work in destination states, but our neighbors in banned states who want to support their communities in crossing borders to access legal health care. I had a sister who long ago had to travel out of state for abortion care. She didn't have the supports we have today, and she passed away. I believe that if she had Midwest Access Coalition or the Chicago Abortion Fund supporting her throughout her journey, she'd be alive today, and our family, my mother, wouldn't have to mourn her loss every year on her birthday. We cannot let any government or the police criminalize abortion seekers and their supporters. That will only lead to tragedy. The radical and racist right do not care about those losses. They think it's deserved. So we have to care. We cannot be okay with the criminalization and trauma of abortion bans. So on behalf of MAC, our clients, my family, my sister Tanya, I want to thank everyone here from the bottom of my heart for being part of this fight for bodily autonomy for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to introduce Jennifer Welch, CEO and President of Planned Parenthood, Illinois.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for visiting us in this pivotal moment. And thank you to the governor and the mayor for all that they have done to make Illinois and Chicago a safe haven. I'm grateful to work with these warriors in this room to fight for equitable abortion access. Because of our collective efforts, abortion is safe here in Illinois, but we know that Roe has never been enough, and we know better than to take our haven state for granted. We know that, as you said, extreme conservatives are working hard at work right now to take away people's rights to decide what is best for their bodies, their families, and themselves. Patients from Illinois and other states already face immense barriers to receiving the care that they need and deserve. And now, every state neighboring Illinois has restricted or banned abortion, as our neighbor Indiana did yesterday. The number of out-of-state patients who are forced to travel to care to Planned Parenthood of Illinois is at an all-time historic high. I'm privileged to work with more than 300 people at Planned Parenthood of Illinois who every day do everything they can to serve patients, educate young people, and advocate for access. Because of their dedication and hard work, people get the care they need. But since Dobbs, approximately 30% of our patients are coming from other states. We've seen patients from 28 different states in the 12 weeks since the Dobbs decision, including all of those that you named earlier, and many, many more. We agree with you, Madam Vice President, that conservative attacks on our bodies go much farther than the rights that we're already losing, and will go much farther than threatening equal access to abortion. I'm grateful for everything that the Biden-Harris, Pritzker, Stratton, and Mayor Lightfoot's administrations have done to protect our care. And I am in this fight with Planned Parenthood, and again, all of the amazing warriors in this room, to make sure that we maintain access for everyone, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you, Bull. Thank you.